You took in a deeper breath the moment you clicked on this video, didn't you? As if something inside you quietly whispered that you were about to hear the words you've been waiting a very long time to receive. Maybe it's because you've always sensed that you move through the world differently. You notice things others walk past. You feel things others bury. You carry an inner storm and an inner light at the same time. And somewhere along the way, someone might have told you that this made you too much, too quiet, or too intense. But I want you to hear this now with the softness you deserved back then. There is nothing wrong with you. In fact, people like you are rare, and rarer still are those who truly understand what moves inside you. Tonight, we're going to wander gently into a truth that most people never hear in their lifetime. A truth about individuals who live with a higher consciousness, not in an arrogant or mystical way, not in a loud way, but in that quiet, unmistakable way that makes their presence feel like a shift in the room. Carl Jung once pointed to this hidden difference, though he never shouted it. He spoke of the souls who see behind the curtain of the world, who carry a depth that others try to understand but rarely can. This video will take you into that space not to teach or explain, but to help you recognize the parts of yourself you've doubted, dismissed, or hidden because the world didn't know what to do with them. So before we begin, take a moment. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath settle. Let yourself be here. You're not listening by accident. Something led you. Something inside you is ready to hear what comes next. And if you find yourself softening into these words, if you feel a quiet sense of being understood, I'd love for you to stay connected. You can subscribe or tap the like button, not out of obligation, but so these kinds of conversations can find you again, especially on the days when you forget your own strength. Now come with me. There's a story unfolding, yours, mine, ours, a story about the rare aura you carry, the truth beneath it, and the invisible path it has been shaping all along. There's something almost invisible about those who move through life awake. Not the kind of awake that comes from coffee or ambition, but the kind that comes from seeing everything. The love, the pain, the illusions, the masks. High consciousness individuals walk the same streets as everyone else, yet the world feels louder, heavier, more complex to them. They notice the pause between words. They sense the heartbreak behind laughter. They can stand in a room full of people and feel every unspoken emotion hanging in the air. It's not a gift they asked for. It's a sensitivity that feels like both a blessing and a burden. If you're one of them, you probably learned to hide it early. You sensed others' discomfort when your words pierced too deep. You felt them pull away when you spoke truths they weren't ready to hear. So you learned to shrink, to dilute your essence, to become easy. But in doing so, you lost a piece of yourself. Because your depth isn't meant to be silenced, it's meant to awaken. Jung once wrote that the greatest tragedy is when the soul denies its own light in order to belong to the shadows of others. And that's what many rare souls do. They dim to stay close. There comes a moment, though maybe you felt it, when the inner light grows restless. It refuses to keep hiding just to make others comfortable. That's when you start to withdraw, not out of bitterness, but to protect your truth. You stop chasing validation because you begin to understand. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it's your compass. It's what makes you alive to the unseen. But here's the hard part. That sensitivity often isolates you. You feel misunderstood, even by those who love you. You crave connection, yet need solitude. You long to share your depth, but often find others aren't ready for the language your soul speaks. So you hold it in. You smile when you're tired. You play along with conversations that feel empty. You become the mirror for everyone else's pain, quietly healing others while quietly breaking inside. Yet, deep within, something ancient stirs a knowing that this struggle has meaning. Jung called it individuation, the journey toward wholeness. It's not about fixing yourself, but remembering who you were before the world taught you to fragment. To the rare few who live from that place, life feels like both an ache and a revelation. They see beauty in what's broken, meaning in what hurts, and divinity in the smallest acts of kindness. You might be one of them. The kind of person who listens more than speaks, who forgives too quickly, who senses lies not through logic but through energy. You've likely spent your life wondering why others seem content with surface-level living while you drown in the depths of feeling. But the truth is, Your heart was built to perceive more, to hold what others cannot. And perhaps that's why you're here, not to escape your depth, but to understand it. To learn that your pain isn't punishment, it's a doorway, a passage into awareness. And when you finally step through, the world begins to look different, softer, yet sharper, realer than before. There's a quiet power in realizing that your sensitivity was never the problem, it was your environment that couldn't hold it. Think back for a moment to the times you felt too emotional, too intense, too honest. Maybe you were told to toughen up, to stop taking things so personally, to smile when you didn't feel like it. What they didn't understand was that you weren't just reacting to life, you were feeling it. Every vibration, every hidden current, you were tasting truth in its raw form. That's not fragility, that's awareness. People with a rare aura of consciousness often live between worlds, the seen and the unseen, the physical and the emotional. You can sit at dinner and sense the tension no one names. You can meet someone for the first time and feel the ghosts they carry. And that can be exhausting, can't it? To know things you wish you didn't. To understand people who don't even understand themselves. To forgive those who never apologized, because your compassion won't let you do otherwise. There's beauty in it, but it's not easy beauty. It's the kind that comes from endurance. Jung once hinted that the truly awakened carry both light and shadow in equal measure, and that their greatness lies not in escaping the darkness, but in integrating it. That's what makes you so different. You don't deny the storm inside you. You walk into it. You learn from it. You understand that even your loneliness has a voice, and it's asking you to come home to yourself. You see, when you start walking the path of consciousness, you stop seeking external validation. The world's noise begins to fade. You start to value peace over attention, authenticity over approval. You become someone who sits in silence and lets the truth rise without needing to control it. And that's when something extraordinary happens. Your energy shifts. People can feel it before they understand it. They're drawn to you, not because of how you look or what you say, but because you radiate realness. It's the kind of presence that can calm chaos just by existing. But here's what most people won't tell you. Such energy can make others uneasy. Your truth exposes their avoidance. Your light highlights their shadows. You might notice people pull away, not because you did something wrong, but because your authenticity reflects the parts of them they're not ready to see. That's not rejection, that's resonance. And if you've ever been left wondering why people ghost you after opening their souls to you, or why they love your warmth but run from your depth, it's not because you're unlovable. It's because you awaken things they weren't prepared to confront. Your aura doesn't just comfort, it transforms. And transformation, for many, feels like loss before it feels like liberation. So, if you've been feeling isolated, if you've been asking why your path seems lonelier, the more self-aware you become, take heart. The higher you rise in consciousness, the fewer souls can meet you where you stand. But the ones who do, they'll recognize you instantly. You won't have to explain your silence, your softness, or your intensity. They'll just know, because rare souls see each other. There's a moment in every awakened person's life when they stop trying to return to who they were before the world changed them. Because deep down, they know that version of themselves no longer fits. It's like trying to step back into a smaller skin after you've outgrown it. The seams would rip, the breath would tighten. You've expanded too much to go back. Carl Jung once said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. For the high consciousness individual, this journey is rarely peaceful. It's often marked by loss, not because you are being punished, but because life is stripping away everything false, everything that kept you asleep. People you loved drift away. The career that once felt safe begins to feel empty. The conversations that once thrilled you now sound hollow. It's disorienting. You wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I stay the same? But the truth is, your soul outgrew its old cage. You're not breaking down, you're breaking open. This kind of awakening doesn't happen in a flash of enlightenment. It happens in the small moments, the late night silence after heartbreak, the quiet walk home when the city noise fades, the tears that come for no reason you can name. That's where the transformation lives. Not in the light you chase, but in the dark you learn to hold. And yet, it's not all pain. There's beauty in that shedding. One day you wake up, and the air feels clearer. You find yourself smiling at nothing. The world hasn't changed, you have. You start noticing small miracles again. Sunlight on skin, laughter that feels pure, someone's eyes that meet yours with no pretense. You start to understand that love doesn't have to be dramatic or destructive to feel real. You start craving peace instead of passion, truth instead of fantasy. That's the paradox of higher consciousness. It makes you feel more deeply than others, but it also teaches you detachment. Not the cold kind, but the wise kind. The kind that says, I love you, but I won't lose myself to keep you. You stop chasing closure. Stop fighting to be understood, because now you know understanding yourself is enough. And there's something magnetic about a person who has reached that level of calm. You can't fake that energy. You've seen too much, healed too much, to be easily shaken. When others are loud, you're quiet. When others compete, you withdraw. When others chase attention, you give presence. Your peace becomes your rebellion. But peace doesn't mean perfection. You still feel pain. You still get lonely. The difference now is you don't run from it. You let it teach you. You understand that heartbreak isn't the end of love. It's an initiation into deeper knowing. The rare souls who live from that space become mirrors for the world. They remind others of what's real. They remind others of what was lost. And maybe that's why you're still here, listening. Because something in these words feels like recognition, like being seen. Maybe you've always known that you were meant to carry light into dark places, not to fix people, but to awaken them. At some point, you stop searching for people who can understand you, and instead, you start understanding yourself so deeply that being misunderstood no longer hurts. That's the quiet turning point in every conscious soul's journey. The moment you realize that not everyone is meant to meet you where you've arrived, and that's okay. Because awakening isn't about being above anyone. It's about finally seeing without judgment, without defense, without illusion. Jung spoke often about the shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide, repress, or deny. High consciousness individuals don't run from the shadow, they make it their teacher. You've likely spent years trying to fix your darkness, when in truth, it only wanted your acceptance. Your jealousy, your anger, your grief, all of it was never a sign of failure. It was your humanity asking to be loved, not analyzed. Once you see that, everything softens. You no longer divide yourself into light and dark. You just are. And that's when your energy begins to change in a way that others can feel but can't quite name. You start walking into rooms and people sense peace, though they don't know why. You speak less, but your silence carries more. Your presence becomes medicine, not because you're trying to heal anyone, but because you've finally healed enough to stop pretending. You radiate authenticity, and authenticity, in this world, is revolutionary. Still, there's a loneliness to awakening that few talk about, because when you start vibrating differently, the things that once held you no longer do. Old friendships fade, not out of conflict, but misalignment. You stop trying to be liked and start craving truth. You'd rather sit alone in your integrity than be surrounded by noise. You begin to understand that solitude isn't isolation, it's sanctuary. It's the place where your soul recalibrates after years of distortion. You also start to see love differently. You no longer romanticize chaos. You stop mistaking intensity for intimacy. You crave connection that's grounded, honest, quiet. The kind where two souls can sit in silence and still feel seen. You realize that real love doesn't demand you shrink. It invites you to expand. And sometimes, the person you need to give that kind of love to first is yourself. When you finally do, the world begins to meet you differently. Not because it changed, but because you did. You stop begging life to be gentle and start becoming gentle yourself. You stop searching for purpose and start embodying presence. You understand that consciousness isn't about being perfect. It's about being awake. Awake enough to notice your patterns, to choose truth over comfort, to open your heart even after it's been broken 100 times. And maybe that's what Jung was really pointing toward all along, that the most awakened souls are not those who escape pain, but those who allow it to carve them into something truer. They live with both eyes open, one on the beauty of the world, one on its sorrow. They feel everything, but they don't drown. They carry the light, not to blind others, but to remind them that they have it too. There comes a quiet moment when you realize you've stopped searching for meaning in the grand, dramatic ways. You no longer chase cosmic signs or wait for the universe to shout your purpose through lightning bolts. Instead, you find it in the smallest gestures, the way sunlight falls through your window, the warmth in a stranger's smile, the softness in your own breath. That's the secret the awakened discover. Life isn't something to be conquered or decoded. It's something to be felt. You begin to live slower, not out of laziness, but reverence. You start listening not just with your ears, but with your entire being. You listen to your intuition before it becomes anxiety. You listen to your body before it becomes illness. You listen to silence before it becomes loneliness. This is the way of the rare, conscious soul, to find divinity not in distance, but in depth. Still, the world doesn't always reward depth. It moves fast, praises noise, celebrates certainty. You, with your thoughtful pauses and your need to feel things fully, may look out of place here, but that's precisely what makes you medicine. You're the reminder that slowing down isn't failure, that gentleness isn't weakness, that being real in a world addicted to performance is the rarest rebellion of all. Jung once said that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul, but not you. You've dared to face it, and that changes everything. You've looked into your own depths, seen the chaos and the grace, and chosen to stay. You've learned that your darkness wasn't a curse. It was the doorway through which your light could finally enter. That's what makes your presence magnetic. You don't shine despite your scars, you shine through them. And when you start living from that truth, your energy begins to shape the world around you. People sense something ancient in your calmness. They feel seen, even when you say nothing. You carry a stillness that others crave, but can't name. Because you've stopped running from yourself, others feel safe to stop running too. That's the rare aura of the conscious soul. It heals without trying, inspires without performing, loves without needing to possess. You may not always realize it, but every time you choose truth over comfort, compassion over judgment, authenticity over approval, you are shifting the vibration of the world. Every time you forgive instead of retaliate, breathe instead of react, love instead of retreat, you become a quiet revolution, the kind that doesn't make headlines, but changes hearts. And maybe that's what Jung was quietly teaching all along, that the most profound transformation doesn't happen in the world of theories or symbols, but in the quiet, unglamorous act of choosing to stay awake even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because to live consciously is to love courageously. It's to walk through life open, undefended, alive. So, if you ever doubt your purpose, remember this: your very being is the message. The world doesn't need you to be louder. It needs you to be real. There's a certain peace that comes when you stop fighting the parts of you that once felt unworthy. When you finally understand that the goal was never to become someone new, but to remember who you've always been beneath the noise. That's the hidden truth Jung tried to show, that healing isn't becoming light, it's learning to hold your darkness with tenderness. You see, high consciousness souls don't need to prove their worth. Their worth exists in the quiet way they notice life. It's in how they sit with someone's pain without needing to fix it. It's in how they sense when words aren't needed and offer silence instead. It's in how they forgive without being asked, not because they're weak, but because their spirit refuses to stay heavy. The world may never fully understand that kind of depth. It's easier to label sensitivity as fragility than to admit it takes immense strength to feel everything and still choose love. And yet, those who carry this rare awareness keep showing up softer each time. Not because life is gentle, but because they've realized that gentleness is their power. You might have spent years trying to fit into places where your sensitivity was seen as excess, your empathy mistaken for naivety. But your softness is not a flaw. It's the mark of someone who's seen the worst of humanity and still chooses to believe in beauty. You are not fragile for caring deeply. You are courageous for continuing to open your heart when the world gave you reasons to close it. As your consciousness expands, you start noticing a strange paradox. The more awake you become, the less you need. You stop craving validation. You stop chasing certainty. You begin to rest in the mystery of things. You realize that the universe doesn't owe you answers, it offers you presence. You learn to trust what you feel, even when you can't explain it. That's freedom, not control, but surrender. Jung once wrote that only when you accept yourself completely can you truly change. That's the quiet revolution of the conscious soul, transformation through acceptance. The moment you stop waging war with your own mind, you begin to radiate peace into everything you touch. You start seeing that even the people who hurt you were instruments of your awakening. You stop taking things personally, not because you're detached, but because you finally understand everyone is fighting their own unseen battles. And then something beautiful happens. Compassion becomes your natural state. You no longer need to force kindness. It flows from you. You don't love to be loved back. You love because that's what you are made of. You don't seek to be understood. You seek to understand. That's the silent mastery of the awakened. They don't chase enlightenment, they embody it. Your journey, all the heartbreaks, the solitude, the questioning has been leading here. To this quiet recognition that you are not broken, you are becoming. And every wound was simply life, carving space for more light to enter. So, breathe. Let yourself be proud of how far you've come without losing your softness. You've turned pain into wisdom, fear into awareness, and loneliness into connection. You've become the kind of person who doesn't just survive, you illuminate. And if these words have found you, it's because a part of you already knew them to be true. You are not here by accident. You are one of the rare few who sees beyond appearances, who loves beyond reason, who feels beyond measure. The world needs you exactly as you are. So stay awake, stay gentle, stay human. Thank you for listening, for feeling, for being part of this space. If these words have touched something inside you, share them. Let someone else feel seen. And if you want more moments like this, where your soul can exhale, you can subscribe, or leave a note in the comments about what part of this journey resonated most with you. Because healing is not a destination, it's a conversation, and you are part of it.